coffee yet?
Well, I took pre-workout this morning, so
okay, to the dome.
I didn't want to, superset.
You don't want to hit 1,000 migs.
I'm trying to stay below 1,000 migs, Johnny.
That's epic.
All right, we're live. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we got Q&A. We got 15 dynamic questions.
Oh, they're dynamic.
Yeah, okay. Dynamic, John Fosco, dynamic method.
Okay.
And whether it's life, whether it's business, John has no clue what they are. I barely looked at them, just enough to know that they're good.
I just got finished German volume training, okay? GVT. I just finished that up, so I'm ready for anything, dude.
John, are you might be aware or not aware. So my favorite little twist I added to German volume training was the 10-second rest period. So it's 10 sets of 10 with 10 seconds rest. It is fucking brutal. So I created it back when I first originally read about German volume training, and I was trying to get extra leg extensions in for a bodybuilding show.
Okay.
And I was trying to fit them in like as extra work. And I was like, you know what? Obviously you can't go as heavy, but I was like, if I can go 10 seconds rest, I could get all 10 sets of these done in a few minutes. Bro, the pump is absurd.
It's like a party pump.
You pick any Friday exercise and only take 10 seconds rest in between. It's outrageous, dude.
I can imagine, but how was the, obviously GVT, is a strength build. Was it tough to build strength with that kind of break?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it was more utilized from a conditioning standpoint, probably. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't, because obviously GVT was originally a strength builder, and I just took a twist on it and made it basically a crazy, but it gave you a crazy pump, though, obviously.
Sure. Makes sense.
So it's pretty good. All right. Hey, I like talking a little training first. That was good, Johnny.
There we go.
You know what?
Bodybuilder.
Before we get into this, I want 5 minutes, John.
Okay.
On they are talking about restarting everything on May 1st. I think we should spend 5 minutes on that. Good, bad, or indifferent, and then roll into the questions. What's your thoughts on that? And then I'll give you mine.
So I think even the opening, what you just said, is a great example of what the lead we're following right now, right? So I understood it, and maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe we're both right and wrong. I understood it like the governors have the ability to potentially open even before May 1st. Maybe I misunderstood it, but they're talking about these 3 14-day phases where individual municipalities can make their own decisions. And listen, I'm the farthest thing from a medical science expert. It doesn't make sense to me. Because one guy could go from the next town to the next town to the next town. But here's the thing I've been thinking about, and I've mentioned on this show. What always surprises me in a good way is how when you put things in the hands of the people, which, listen, Trump has done. Trump has absolutely, like it or hate it, I don't give a fuck, he's punted the football when it comes to leading in the time of crisis, which if I was a president, I would look forward to a time where the country is looking to you to lead. He's punted the football. He's saying, okay, I'm out of the decision making. You go make the decisions, right? So I have an extreme belief in the people, because the people have flattened the curve. Don't tell me some fucking bogus ass word, social distancing, has flattened. No, the people's choice to stay in their houses, stay away, none of it's being enforced. I believe in the people. So this thing that they're rolling out that is incredibly difficult to understand, especially for business people and all people alike. I believe that the people are not going to be stupid. So when they enter into society, if the economy gets quote unquote turned back on, I think they will distance. I think they will have masks for the most part. I think they will do all that until there's a clear vaccine or cure, if you will. So I believe in the people. So I'm not going to count this thing out because it's disorganized, in my opinion. I don't know. What's your take?
I like that take, Johnny. I believe in the people too. I think about, if I think about retail, like what we have at CBD Social, everyone could wear a mask. You could be in and out. But then I think about my gym, and it just seems like that's probably not going to be within a phase 1 anyway, that type of business. but just everybody sweating on top of
So
stuff.
I saw real quick. I saw
Yeah.
something on that last night on the I believe it was phase 2. Dr. Dix or Nix or whatever her name is, Burks. She said,
Dix.
yeah. So imagine this. So this is how like unthought out it is. They said, and gyms can reopen. But they have to strictly respect and enforce social distancing. So you're going to tell me at a prime time, a 6 p.m. at a fucking gym, people are going to be 6 feet away from each other. They're not going to beat the fuck out of each other for being on this bench for 2. It's impossible. It's impossible. But that's how deep I feel like the administration is going on thinking things out. It's just a good example, I think.
So I think that there are some businesses that can operate now or soon, right? And it's still a risk, but I think it can happen. But even though I want to be in my gym so fucking bad, John, I can't even articulate it properly how much I miss it. I
know you. When you think about OSG, you fap.
I don't know what that means, but
I don't either.
Yeah. Well, you must, because you mentioned it.
No, I don't have no clue what it means.
But anyway, so it's like Trey's laughing. He must do it.
Oh, Trey's a huge fapper. Trey faps. Oh my God, this kid. I've caught him so many times.
What I'm getting at is, even though I want to like emotionally, be there, I just don't know that at least this early, that would even be the right thing to do. I
don't think it would be. I would agree with you.
You know what I mean? So I struggle with that. Already. Now there's a few more weeks and we're going to learn more, but I don't know. It was definitely something I saw come across Twitter from DeWine this morning, which is our guy in Ohio. And I was thinking, geez, like it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm conflicted, but I think some people will be fine in some businesses. All right. First question. Austin Pesith wants to know, who is your guys' most admirable business person or athlete, and why?
Most admirable business person or athlete, and why?
Admirable. How do you say that?
So, admirable. I would say so. There's this guy. Most people probably haven't heard of him, but he's like a legendary Hollywood producer and kind of deal maker, and he's just there. And he's been there forever. You've probably seen his name in credits. His name is Jerry Weintraub. And I remember seeing something on him when I was like 19 years old, like a documentary about how he, and I think it's relatability, right? How he like didn't have the skills to be in the movies, but he always knew how to get in the mix and make deals and connect, point A to point B. And then he made his way on little feature films and he started producing them and he started securing funding for them. And now I think the guy's in his 80s and he's like kind of like a godfather in Hollywood. And he's not an actor. He's not Hollywood at all. But he just found his niche in a space that was so big with limited skills and enormous amount of will. So sure, we could go down the list of the, Jeff Bezos's,
Sure.
No, this guy's a deal maker and it's amassed him not only probably the most impeccable reputation in the entertainment industry, but he just shows everybody that if you want to be in something, you don't need to have the skill set that everyone tells you need to. You can get in the mix and you can make it happen. So Jerry Weintraub, if you guys haven't heard of him, his last name is Weintraub. And also Clive Davis. A lot of people know Clive Davis, Capitol Records. Same exact thing. The guy was a lawyer and he had a sound, he could hear hits and basically built Capitol Records. He's another guy. That's pretty cool.
I was trying to think of somebody other than how we talk about, I've talked about Arnold a bazillion times. I was thinking of, somebody I really admire and love their content a little bit, maybe earlier content, maybe not as much now, but it's Tim Ferriss. I've got a big respect for Tim Ferriss because and more because of the way that he wrote his books was all trial and error based. So he reminds me of the way that I do things from a fitness standpoint, but he goes another level and does blood work and does like, you know what I mean? He's like at the psycho fucking analytic level, which I don't even operate that way, but I respect that the way when he would bring his books out, whether it's business, whether it's on his body. And when I met him in person and asked him about those things, and like he fucking grilled me about the squat every day stuff and the lunges and all these things. He's like a person who's always computing things and making sense of them, but is never closed-minded on that things that maybe don't match up aren't possibilities. And he does that same type of thing with, I think, angel investing and the way he operates. And I think the freedom early on, what he created for himself, actually coming from the supplement industry originally, he was one of the original people that had a nootropic that did like 50 grand a month online. And he used that to leverage, you know, massive email lists and write books. And now he's at the point where he doesn't need a book deal. He can pop his own book out. He's got so many people that pay attention. Like he just really, the way that he's forged that path over the last, you know, about 10 years plus has been pretty impressive. And he also spoke out a lot about mental health most recently and some other things that he had battled. And he's a very, very interesting guy. I'm fortunate I got to meet him and talk to him a few times. And it was,
we had him on the show and he took over.
Yeah, we did. That's right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, he took over the show. John had to butt in. That was amazing. If you ever have Tim Ferriss on your podcast, never give him what you're going to talk about.
Oh my God.
He was just going down the list and just took it over.
Fucking computer downloading shit. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I forgot all about that. That was amazing. All right. Next question.
Fantastic.
From Nathan Cleaves, 44. How does having or not having your personal life together affect your business? So basically, how does your personal life affect your business?
Yeah, this is just, man, it's a tough one. And my take on it is when you're younger and you're trying to establish yourself, and then once you do establish yourself and you start having some success, the bigger personal life you have, the higher the probability that you're not going to continue to grow and be successful, because that it sounds unhealthy, but a personal life and activities that involve personal things are a distraction from what I believe should be, if you want to be very successful, your obsession. And your obsession, especially when you're young and you have energy, has to be your business. So, you know, everyone talks about the work-life balance. I don't personally believe in it. I believe there's levels of it, right? I believe there's levels of it. And I believe people who are wealthy, right? They're wealthy. They can choose to pull back and they can make that choice. But if you fall in the category of, I want more, like so many of us do, I want more. If you want more, your social life is going to be a distraction. It just is, because more by definition is more than the next guy. And the next guy is working Monday through Friday. So if you want more, you better count every day with a Y as a work day. And that's my take. I think it's completely distracting for people who want more.
I think too, Johnny, like people whose personal lives are a train wreck have an extremely hard time. It's not even necessarily a time thing, but I think even having it organized. You know, we've talked about this before. Like if you have a business partner that's doing a bunch of craziness, but he's still delivering at work, there's not really anything you can say, right? Per se. But
and there's nothing you should say, because it's
exactly
no one's business.
But my point is, though, most people can't hold that up long term, because if there's that much chaos and that much uncertainty and, you know, kind of an unruliness going on, eventually, and this is my opinion, it starts to seep over. How does it not? So I think
if you have no personal life, and your business 24/7, you don't have those bad things you're referring to.
Correct. Because you're not up in the fucking strip joint. You're not messing around. You're not doing dirt essentially on the side, right? Which is what I'm kind of referring to. Right. But also the flip side is that a person like me that has 3 kids, they all have practices. They all have school functions. They all have all of these things that take me away. And it's just, there's nothing I can do about it. It's divide and conquer. If I had one kid, it'd be different, but 3 kids of age, we're going every which way. And so like, there's things, and that's why I was really fortunate that the first really almost like 15 years of my business, my kids were young. So I was at least able to put that time in and get a little bit of freedom towards what's happening nowadays. But all of those things pull on you, and it's just what it is. And so when people talk about work-life balance, people ask me about this shit all the time. The only reason why it's even a quarter of the way in balance is because of Rach, because I'm a fucking maniac. I got to keep myself from myself. But that's what I chose because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So like, this is something that will be debated and talked about all the time. And it means something different for everyone else. It's not the same across the board for each person. Like what John wants and thinks is balance and what I want and think is balance. And it's going to change from when you're 20 to 40 potentially too, right? I believe at some point, Johnny's going to be like, and he said it, like there'll be a point where my time is not going to be as used inside the business. I'll leverage my skills or my assets or whatever it is, but my actual me being there, standing there working will change at some point. And that will change the balance. Right, Johnny?
Yeah, that's what I like to call, my plan. And that was my goal. And luckily I've gotten towards it. But as I'm basically at it earlier than I thought I would be, I can tell you this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop.
I knew where you were going. It's hard. All gas, no brakes, bro.
I'm lucky. I get to do what I love and I don't have to do anything. So if I'm doing it, I want to do it.
So I think that's where, Johnny, I think that a lot of people that don't do what they like to do, why retirement is so important, right? Because they look at it as they're getting their freedom back to do stuff they like. And so I think that what happens with guys like us, I mean, dude, part of most of what I do has to do with lifting weights, or talking about our experience. Like it's not something that I dislike at all. So why, you know what I mean? So that's where it is a tough kind of deal. But if one day John Fosco wakes up and says, I fucking hate doing the podcast. I don't like selling supplements anymore. I don't want to
I'll stop doing it. Exactly.
That's my point. So that freedom is hard for people to maybe grasp all the way, but that's really why people that are in our position that like what they do continue doing it, maybe in a perceived unbalanced way. It's because we enjoy it.
Call me unbalanced. I'll call you broke. Whatever.
All right. So this question was down the list, but I'm going to bring it up because I think it's good to back off this. So this question was, will it ever be enough? So what is it?
Will what ever be enough? You know what I'm saying? This is not again, if you're doing it for money, that's a appropriate question.
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself. None of this has to do with money. People don't understand that.
Well, John, you want to make money. There's no doubt about that.
But that's part of the process, right? It's like if you're a Major League Baseball player, part of the process is you go to practice, right? But like, that's not like why you're a baseball player. You're a baseball player because you love it. And sure, some do it for the money. I'm speaking for myself, right? So speaking for myself, I don't do it for the money. I do it because I get to feel what I think a lot of people want to feel, but they don't know how to ever get there. I get to wake up every day and feel a challenge and have a metric I can put myself against. And that to me, that's what I want. That's how I feel alive. Yeah. So is there ever enough? Enough what? Waking up, like looking forward to the day? Is there ever enough? Like that's what I want. So yeah, money can stack up and this or that, but that's not the objective. And if people who don't have money, they don't believe that. They don't believe that people who may have some do it not for the money.
Yeah. Well, because when it was only about the money, it never grew like it does. I mean,
if it's only about the money, you're not putting out quality.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, right? It's like the guy who wants some money. Want to know what he does? The guy who wants some money, he goes and gets lottery tickets because he wants some money. You
Yeah,
know,
no shit.
I want to build things that fulfill me, and I get to wake up every day and chase that. I don't.
Yeah. And
I'm
you have
not
a
saying
gratitude to that.
100% because I know there's a gift involved. I know I work my ass off, but I know like this is like God gives everyone gifts, in my opinion, and this is one of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because it's really I mean, that just changes from person to person too. I think that one thing you said early when we started working in business was about money really is the scorecard of
Always.
of really your skill set and how you scale it, how you manage it, how you sell, how you do it, how you create. And I think like I never really had thought about it that way, right? That was I obviously was so passionate, just like you, with the area of things I was in. I couldn't stop it if I tried. It'd be real. That's why I look at guys like Louis Simmons still creating like training content in their 70s.
You think he's
Like,
doing it for the money?
no,
Exactly.
no,
You think he's making more money now than ever?
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
He
That's
is.
my point.
He absolutely is. I bet you he doesn't even know how much money he has, Johnny.
No, and he doesn't
Yeah.
care. And he doesn't care because he cares about fucking screaming at people who bench 900 pounds.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right.
That's it. That's it.
He cares about, like, there's a couple things he cares about, probably like his dog, his lifting, and what car he drives. But I guarantee he doesn't even know how much money is. I mean, he might know, but I don't know. But when it's really unapologetic for the love and the pursuit, the money usually follows, especially if you're at the highest level of your game. That dude's known as the godfather of strength. So the stuff that he's putting out is reserved so high, and it's been for so long. And so I really have looked at his kind of model for how he's done it all these years. And really, I always think to myself, like, is there going to be a time where I don't want to teach people how to do what I love? That would be weird almost. So
Yeah.
anyway, but I think it's good for people to hear this side of it.
I want to ask you, can I ask you a business question?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So as it relates to your online training business,
Mm-hmm.
I've always, I have interest in that as a space, obviously.
For sure.
So with you having a successful online training business, and these are my thoughts, and you know it better than I.
Mm-hmm.
Is this part of the? I don't know your plans. Is this part of the plan, or tell me why it wouldn't be, to essentially say, okay, as I age, and as we live in a world where, younger people, heavier weights, all this new faces, fresh this and that, is your plan to, in due time, piece off equity to people who you identify as people who carry your goals, your vision, and your values, piece it off to the next people, and so you can be 70 years old, right, and not having to get stacked covers.
Yeah. You know what, John? I've thought about that over time. One thing I love about here's what I think will evolve, right? And I've seen this from Louis. That's really the one that he's kind of created. The motto essentially is, eventually it's not, and it's starting to evolve. It's not really about my bench press anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or about my squat anymore. You eventually get to where you go into the level where the coaching is, you become to where the knowledge is, because you've already kind of lived your lifting days per se, right? I'm always going to compete and do things and try to keep a high level of fitness, because that's just me. I think I can do that all the way into my 50s. Am I going to do it at the highest level? I've been getting beat my entire life. I've just got the best out of me. Will I bring people in? And essentially I have guys in the 4 a.m. crew that I think they could fit that model at some point, but I'm hesitant to, bring somebody in full go and do all that too early. You know what I mean? When is the best time? That's probably the scalable, really kind of question. And as I still see and push personally, I will be the out front person for as long as it feels natural.
So here's a quick question though.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously with any business, we have to say, okay, what happens if somebody dies?
Yeah,
So
no question.
With yours, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if something happened to you,
Yep.
it's trouble, big trouble.
Well, no question. I had to think about that when I got hurt real bad this year. That was the first check to it. Because when I went to this, I didn't get surgery. I continued to lift anyway.
Yeah.
But when I went and they were like, you might not be able to lift for 10 months. That was the first. You got to remember, I've been doing this since I was 17. I've never had a serious injury, which is pretty crazy if you really think about it. Nothing that would ever had to go to a surgeon for or talk to a doctor. And so other than a chiro. So that was the first time I had a check on a couple things. One, that's when I got more, I would say, like invested in some other passive incomes because I understood that, okay, this could be in jeopardy potentially because I'm so much of a part of it personally. And two, it started me to think about the process that you're absolutely talking about because I'm like a vet in the game. I'm in my 40s. I mean, in reality, I it sounds funny, but I look at myself like that because essentially I'm a pro athlete to my own business. I mean, basically. And even though it's kind of funny to say, but it's a lot of it's true. So yeah, all of those thoughts have been and right now it still feels natural, but a year from now it could not, or 2 years from now, or like you said, or if something happens. So I have some stuff in place and some ideas.
That's good.
And it definitely is some things I've thought about. But right now, to your point, I've had people say, dude, you're 40. Why are you still eating like this and trying to keep abs? Well, I'm not really trying to. It's just kind of what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like it still feels that way. And I still have an excitement about going to compete. I still have an excitement to push myself.
Sure.
But maybe eventually at a level I won't. But I can't answer that all the way.
Yeah, I got you.
But that was a good question though, Johnny.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. From Benny TB99, he wants to know, should business be moving away from traditional advertising to 100% digital?
I think yes. I think yes and no. I'm going to give you an example. There are certain pockets that TV still really works, right? So if you are in specific businesses that, let's say, I'll just give you an example, right? If you do anything with firearms, right? You want to advertise with Fox News if you can, right? I mean, because we live in a divided country, it's not hard to know where to advertise certain things and find those certain people. You have to say, okay, so the Fox News crowd, which is a more conservative, we know what they like. They're not really digital, right? They're not all online, right? They're more old school. So if you sell gold, right? Like you want to probably, you don't want to run a bunch of IG ads because
Snapchat ads.
Yeah, they're not on IG. So I think sure that's a example that is maybe not spanning all sectors, but yeah, there are pockets where old school advertising still works. But in general, the tracking and analytics of digital advertising destroys TV, and it is a better value. But I just think you can't make that blanket statement.
Yeah, I think that if you're not conscious of that and you're only doing traditional like print ads and shit like that, you're going to be in fucking trouble real quick.
Well, if you're doing print ads, you're a goofball. I mean, period.
But probably in some markets, maybe there's certain businesses it just still crushes it. But I would say it's got to be way more slim than it's ever been at this point.
The New York Times, you could do a print ad. I mean, there are very, very few things you could do print ads in now. But magazines don't exist.
Think about that, John. Think about how much of a part print ads were of our economy and just the way we consumed for so long. It's wild to think it's vanished, basically.
Absolutely. It's fucking gone.
I remember like it was a mandatory thing in early supplements that you had print ads going, just mandatory. It was just the way it was. Like you had to basically commit so much. And that was just the way the vendors expected.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. All right. Breakthrough. All right. Next is from Michael Well Performance. What is an early breakthrough? What is something that you were like, oh man, this is it? I guess in business, I'm guessing, yeah. It's an early breakthrough you had.
Like in my own mind, or like,
Yeah, probably in your own mind. You know, or
okay.
saying like maybe it was you notched up
Oh,
because of a deal or a thing or something
oh,
you
okay.
created, maybe.
That's quite a broad question, Michael. High performance, but I'll say this. I think the earliest breakthrough is that nobody cares about you unless you can produce. So
When that guy said that to you, Johnny, that was a breakthrough.
yeah, when he said it to me, but well before that, because I really started to see how people were treated, and as time has gone on, and I've been in other spaces, everyone wants a performer. Everyone wants a performer, whether you can get ratings, whether you can sell things, whether you're the best at graphic. Everyone wants a performer. And guess what? They will deal with your baggage. They will deal with your madness if you can deliver. Like, period. So like when you go in and you're young, you think the things that should matter should, but the things that should matter don't matter in business. And that's bad to say, but it's true.
Think about problem athletes, bro. If they go catch 10 balls, it don't fucking matter what the hell if they're getting high 6 days a week. Motherfuckers don't care.
Well, yeah, do you know how easy it is to be like, okay, that guy is our number 2 producer in the company. He has 3 sexual harassment issues. It's cheaper for us to pay off these women and get them out than it would be to let him go. I mean,
people do it all the time.
Dude, that's the way of the world. So that's where it's kind of sad. That's the one thing that's kind of sad about really understanding business is the things that should matter don't. You know,
well, you experienced younger in your career, right, Johnny? You were producing, but you were acting kind of wild, and they just dealt with it. Yeah,
they dealt with it, and beyond that, they knew that I was a workhorse. So I was actually encouraged indirectly from a number 3 to do coke so I could work longer and then get more out of me, like straight up.
That's crazy talk, bro.
Straight talk.
Hey, just hit this line because we know you'll get more money.
Straight talk. It was eye-opening because when you're young, you're like, oh wow, like is that how you get to the top? You know, you don't have the wisdom of time to be like, fuck this motherfucker, I'm going right to the CEO. This guy's a piece of shit. You know, you can't be fucking preying on kids like that. You'll fuck their whole life up, you know?
Yeah, bro. That's crazy, John, that you were up against that essentially.
Yeah, I remember the exact, I'll give you 30 seconds. The exact scenario was, so I was working for a company that at the time I believe had 19 gyms, and I was managing 2 gyms that were called B gyms. And then there was A gyms and C gyms. A gyms were a very high traffic area, like downtown Chicago, Michigan Avenue. B gyms were mid traffic area. C gym was low traffic area. So I managed 2 B gyms, and he was like, wow, your numbers are coming up on this guy, Vinny's. And he's like, Vinny runs A gyms and you're pushing up on him. He's like, you just need something to get over the edge. I'm like, dude, I can't push a B gym past an A gym. They get like 400 more fucking check-ins a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a motherfucking magic man. He's like, well, maybe you are a magic man, you know, because Vinny likes to go in the tanning bed and he sprinkles this white powder and he just puts it up his nose and boom, the numbers come. I think you should try it. He's like, why don't you go look in room number 5? Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm so naive, Johnny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
What? That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, you're like what, 20 years old?
I was probably 20 and a half. Yeah.
And my guess with John Fosco's already maniac mentality, the last thing you need is superset it with cocaine.
Correct.
Jeez. And that is preying on young people that look up to people and want to, man, that's why
I'm 20. I'm making like 140,000. You know, like fucking 6 months earlier, I was making like 40,000, and like I'm fucking flying up, and I'm like, shit, what's next? The $250,000. You know, oh, I just got to do some coke.
Fast living, literally. That's crazy. A breakthrough for me, I think, was and it built a ton of confidence. Was when I was able to get my first personal training studio open. Even though it was ragtag as all get out and all my clients followed me from the gym, I think the first level of personal training where I was paying rent at this little gym and I'd created, 10, 12, 15 clients, like I kind of expected that I would be able to kind of bullshit my way through that because I didn't know that much about training, but I was nice to people. And a lot of these people were, like really beginner. So anything I was showing them was doing well. But when I was able to pretty much completely on my own, obviously I had a little bit of help, but not really not like my dad came in town and like taught me how to open my personal training studio. You know what I'm saying? Like people rallied together.
My dad came in and just slapped me in the head.
Yeah. Well, and my dad, I don't even know if knew what was going on. So
Okay.
It's like one of those things where people, when I say help, they committed to coming with me and giving me their business. They would bring a pair of extra 5-pound dumbbells if they had them laying around their house. Guys would bring me exercise bikes, like whatever, to kind of contribute to the equipment I really couldn't afford to buy. But when I got that open and then went through my first week of business and I didn't lose a dime, obviously my overhead went up, but it created a belief and confidence in myself about one, doing a job I never met anyone else that did, especially growing up, obviously, and that this would confirm that this could be a real thing for me. And I thought I'd be a personal trainer for the rest of my life. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. And so that was a huge breakthrough. The second big breakthrough for me was the first time I saw my product at GNC. My whole life, dude, I bought products at GNC. And when I walked in, that was one product. I have a picture at my house still with Alex. He's, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 years old. It's on the bottom shelf. It's a terrible wrapper. It's
yes.
The original like hologram with the chains. Yes. It's the Affliction wrapper. I'll have to dig that picture up, Johnny, and send it to you. It's amazing. A bottom shelf, but there was something about that when I walked in my local Steubenville GNC that I had shopped at as a kid, lifting weights, and could see something that I was directly associated with, it created another belief that why not fucking me? Why not us in this group? Why not? You know what I mean? All these things that I kind of fought through to build confidence, to be somebody that I aspired to be, like they were starting to happen. And each way I broke through those little pockets, it just created more confidence for me. So those are my two things that I think that helped me a ton. Next, DJ H54. What's the most awkward situation y'all ever found yourself in business or life?
Yeah, you can't go the or life.
John, you got a pool of these motherfuckers. I'm sure. You can't
go or life. I mean, it's like or life, business or life.
I know
like everything's inbound.
Hey, I know one of the stories that just came to mind. It was from one of your old business partners.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
I think people really enjoy. Right. Yeah, I think people really enjoy that one, Johnny.
Yeah. It's fantastic. So, all right, that's fine. We can do that. So, my first business partner, who's my friend, I was at his wedding, and my other business partner at the time was there, and he was older than me, and he had a wife, a pretty good looking wife, and when they would say funny things and weird things and all this stuff, and we were having drinks, we were at the reception. And he's like, "You think she looks good tonight?" I'm like, "Who?" He's like, "I'm not going to say her name." He's like, "My wife." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, she looks good tonight." And he's like, "Yeah." And then she's like grinning, and then he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, she looks fucking good tonight." He's like, "You want a hand job?" I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "What?"
He's huh?
He's like, "You want her to give you a hand job?" And then I'm like, "Is this guy fucking with me?" And then I look at her and she's smiling at me and he's smiling at me. And he's like, "You want a hand job?" And like, just like that, for like, first off, like, I could imagine if someone was really like into that, they'd be like, "You want to fuck my wife?"
Yeah.
Who the fuck when I'm getting a Michelob Ultra is like, hey, check her out. She looks good. Okay. You want a hand job? And I'm just like, what? I actually, I should have taken it, looking back on it, I should have taken it. But I didn't take it. Disappointed in myself. I failed. So there you go.
Couple questions, John.
Yeah, sure.
How do you come back? Now you did business with this guy. I remember him for a
Yeah.
little while longer.
Oh yeah, I did.
How do you come back from, or you denying his wife from giving you a hand job as a gesture of niceness from your business partner? Like, how do you come back from that? Like, the next time you see each other, you act like it didn't happen, or do you address it? Like,
man, she was such a nice person too, and I just acted like. So because my brain always switches, like I when it comes to anything connecting to business, I do not let loose. I'm very regimented. So because I was like, okay, business partner, danger, 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 I played it off like it was a joke, even though they were serious as fuck. I laughed at like, you guys are fucking, oh, you guys are funny,
You're thinking in the back of your head, they're fucking serious right now.
Oh, I knew they were serious. If I pulled my penis out, it would have ejaculated. But essentially, so me playing it off as a joke gave them an out. So next time I saw them, they could, obviously they were drunk. Yeah. They could be like, oh yeah, that was funny. So it wasn't as awkward because I played it off as a joke. And I was like, I'm going to go grab a drink. You guys want anything? So I played it off.
Well, my most awkward business situation / life also had involved my wiener, and it was
your wiener. Okay.
Yeah, my wiener. And I thought I was getting fucking robbed one morning at Old School Gym. Told this story a long time ago, but there's some new people here on the podcast. I was lifting like at 5:30 in the morning one time, and my friend was done lifting and he left. But as he was leaving, there was two people that they actually rolled. The more I think about this, I don't know why this motherfucker ever left me. They rolled under the garage door. So, we had a key card facility, like a keypad. So they didn't have a code. They actually rolled under the garage door, one guy at first. And my dude didn't even I think we just were kind of like shocked on like what was happening. And he seemed like cool at first. Yeah. So he dipped. And then all of a sudden a second dude rolls up under the garage door and I can tell something's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, all right, they feel like their intention is like to fucking rob me. So I'm trying to create some space, and he's asking all kinds of weird fucking questions. And I'm trying to get this motherfucker out of my gym. All of a sudden he yells, "Show me your fucking cock right now, right fucking now. Show me your fucking cock." And I'm like, what?
Like, you don't want my money? Like,
dude, it was unbelievable.
Was this the game mafia? Was this the GM?
It's so fucking weird. So I fucking flip out. I start fucking screaming and yelling. And once again, the second guy that rolled in, he had his hands in his pockets. I wasn't sure what his, I really thought
was he playing pocket pinball?
I mean, I guess he was just waiting for the fucking show, Johnny.
Oh my God.
And so, when somebody yells at you, "Show me your fucking cock." Right, motherfucking
I would start laughing and then I would assault them. It would be like a 1-2 punch. Like,
honestly, if it would only been the one person, I probably would have fucking punched him. But I was so in shock. I was so in fucking shock.
I would be too. Yeah,
I was being basically assaulted.
Sexual assault on G.
I went from thinking I was going to be robbed to a really weird.
They could have fingered you too.
To a really weird gay situation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so those emotion changes are quite different.
There was two of them. You could have showed them your cock, and then one of them could have started fingering your butt. It would have been fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm really glad that didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Next, John. It's pretty bad that both of our situations had to do with
yeah. Where the fuck is D when you need him? He could throw some blows.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. All right. At Fully Fit Coach wants to know, what failures have helped shape your success the most? Or even if we deemed them failures, I guess what, trials in business.
Yeah. What for me, it's letting my weaknesses get the best of me. So essentially, I was doing well, and then I became addicted, and I was functional. I was still making money, but my drive to go get more, it paused. And at that time, I wasn't aspiring for more. I was just living. So luckily, I was a functional addict, which most people aren't. So I could fucking pay my bills and not be a fucking absolute degenerate. But that getting through that, and then literally like cleaning it up, and then truly feeling like doors have just completely opened. So from a possibility standpoint, like, dude, my brain's back. I can do anything. Like, I can do fucking anything. So my drug use limited me severely, and it will limit everybody. And that's how I will always describe it to people who are familiar with it or not familiar with it. It is the pause button. It is the pause button on your ambitions. It's the pause button on your life, all that stuff. And then from there, I wasn't fully ready to work with people, and I have, like I said, like a temper problem. And it took me like 5-6 years to understand that, man, I was really hurting myself when even if I had principle on my side, if I come down like a fucking ton of bricks on someone, and I don't want to say this, but I'll say, like, and scare them. I feel weird when I say that, but like, and scare people, they're just not comfortable. So they're never going to work good with me. And if they are nice to me, it's because they're scared of me. So I have this whole thing in my life where I'm not even aware. And my mom has talked to me about it before, that like people can be scared of me. Cause to me, I don't think like that. I don't ever look at someone and say I'm scared of that person, but other people don't think like me. So I had this issue where people were literally scared of me, and that's so foreign, but I had to face it. And I had to adapt my behavior,
You think it's unaware of your presence, John?
I think at that time, I'm aware of my presence now, but at that time, it was the presence combined with almost a daily. See, if I lose it now, I might lose it like every 3 months or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would lose it almost every day.
Gotcha.
Because there's always something every day that upsets you.
Of course.
But I wasn't aware. See, I believe that if I knew that it was wrong, that everything was on the table always. And technically, sure, but you're not going to win. You're not going to win with people if you fucking destroy them.
It's impossible to scale that way.
Yeah. Like, people are legitimately going to be scared of you. And it took me a long time to understand that.
Yeah. I think I had the complete opposite of that, John. Like, I just never spoke up enough. And then I would let, and I see what you're saying, because if I didn't go through, which I'm going to talk about, my part, that I think, like, if I didn't go through the MP process, if me and you met earlier than that process, I would have had a lot harder time dealing with you, even though you would be unaware. Like, I had to go through what I saw in that type of business and get a thicker skin to be able to handle stronger personalities, like yourself. There's just no way I wouldn't have been able to do it. I guarantee it. I changed a lot during that 10 years because I learned so much about business and money and absolutes and what it really takes, and the stress that I went through and got through and came out, and I grew so much as a person that it allowed me to be able to handle people that are stronger like you, either whether they're aware or not aware, and be able to, even though I've built confidence in myself, but then to be able to stand up whenever, if it's like a borderline moment, to be like, no, this is what I think is right. I have to voice my opinion, not just let it slide. And so a lot of times I just didn't do it early days. And I think that I couldn't have saved what happened at MP, and not all of it was a failure, but I deem it as not a super success either. Yeah, there's pieces of it that were successful, and I was able to then leverage things post Muscle Farm. But ultimately, to me, it was a failure. I mean, it just was. I just don't, and this might sound weird for people to hear because people don't understand all the nuts and bolts, but like, a success would have been selling it.
Well,
success would have been selling it, Johnny.
Truth. You're speaking the truth. The company has a value right now of $3 million.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. We used to do 3 million in just the Get Swole stack.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, you're speaking the truth.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I look back at that part of my career, it was uncovering in creating a different animal of business and understanding that there's no way I would be me today if I didn't go through it. Hence, also probably be able to work with John, especially the earlier stage John, not now John, but either way, like I just think that that process and me, and that's what Arnold said, it's all about how you stand back up when you go through major adversities, just like you did whenever you had the addiction problem too, Johnny. So it's like you uncover these things. That's why taking chances and going through multiple things, I never really say like, I wouldn't get up and say, oh, I failed, because that's just part of my story and process. And I've evolved. And then since then came out on the other side. And I'm one of the only people, main people that are doing anything that I'm aware of that's of entrepreneurial value since then that I worked with. It's just the fucking truth. And people can hate or do whatever, but I just know what I uncovered during that time. So I looked at it as like extremely valuable. It's the only reason why I'm able to be here and talk with the type of confidence from the things that I endured and came out on the other side. And I honestly wouldn't change it. I mean, I just think that I wouldn't have really understood a high level adversity from a business standpoint if I didn't kind of go through some of those things. Like it made me a better person, even though I didn't love it at the time. Right. That's for sure. Right. All right. Next question. What would you say is the most underestimated key to owning multiple businesses at once? From Alex Leaf.
The most underestimated key
to owning multiple businesses at one time.
Probably that if you don't have a absolute 1 to 2 or more all-stars, all-in people that you've put time into, don't even think about owning more than one business, because multiple businesses sounds sexy.
Sounds amazing.
It's only like you get to a point where you can only do so much, and you have to have good people. And it's not about getting good people and then getting the most out of them and trying to max. No, you have to fucking put them in a situation where they can win. Because if they're in a situation where they can win, they're going to want to win there for their career, and they're going to see a lot of upside. And obviously so are you. You cannot have multiple interests without people. You know what I'm saying? And you have to put time into people. You can't just hire somebody, especially if you own part of the business, and let them do their thing. You need to instill in them what's expected. I would equate it, and I'm not a parent, but to parenting. I mean, not that you hire kids, but if it's your show, you have to instill in them the values. You have to smack them on the motherfucking ass, hypothetically, when they need it. And you got to let them know when they're fucking smashing it, because guess what? They're going to have to do that to the next crop that they bring in. Mm-hmm. So you can't just say these things work, bring them in, hands off. You got to be up their ass, bro. You got to be up their ass in a way that they know you care. But if you smack them in the fucking ass, it may take an hour or two, but they know you're doing it to make them better.
Yeah, I think that the expectation of what is like has to happen, especially if it doesn't happen, and then you show what needs to happen, and then have that conversation like this can happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those type of things that I think a lot of people need to know what the absolutes are, at the end of the day. Like, hey, this thing happens in this business. This can't fucking happen. We need to go over why it's happening. What's the things we put in place to make sure it doesn't happen? And then John had some really good ideas on a certain case the other day. Then it starts to cost motherfuckers money. That's just the way it is. So it just doesn't fucking happen. Things
get fixed real quick when you start hitting people in the pocketbook, dude.
Yeah, because right now, if it's fucked up, it hits the owners in the pocketbook. It doesn't hurt the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So when people don't understand that is the best way to make them understand that. But I agree with that 100%. I think that the parenting kind of thing, that's pretty true, John, because you're showing by action, you're reinforcing with expectation, and then there has to be a disciplinary type of thing if it's not met.
100%.
Yeah, I like it.
Cor, one sec. I have to make a call out. Guys, is there a charger anywhere in here?
Can I get a charger? Hey, at least you're not calling for.
Okay, we're good.
At least you're not calling for like a hand job from partner's wife.
Well, listen, those are offered. You know, I get offered hand jobs often. You know what I'm saying? They're very convenient because tables cover them. And
listen,
all this stuff.
I know you were joking, but should you have took it?
Yeah, I should have. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Well, I didn't want to take my offer.
Because they ended up getting divorced, number one, and she was
pretty hot,
nice person, good looking person, tremendous person, and who knows? I'm pretty sure she would have been. Anyways, let's go. Well,
okay, Mr. Langley wants to know: do you trust your gut when making business decisions?
1,000,000%, but I don't blindly trust it. So we all get gut feelings, and there's a process to this. I believe you get a gut feeling and you don't just roll with it because it's yours and you want to show everyone that you got a good idea. No, you take your gut feeling, and before you even fucking talk to a motherfucker about it, you vet it. You know what I'm saying? You source information in correlation with it. You see if there's competitors. You check out the whole fucking landscape and make sure your idea, your vision, your thought is even available / capable of doing. And then when you find out that it is, if you find out it's not, obviously you cut it. But if it is, then I think you share it out with smart people and see if they can find issue with it. But you don't just go with your gut. You don't just jump. You have to get excited about something, and then you have to do research. You know what I'm saying? You got to read. But yeah, don't just jump, dude.
I think it's gut combined with analytics. That's basically what you said, right, Johnny?
Yeah,
like that.
Absolutely.
So like when you, for instance, like when we became official business partners, you know, from a standpoint of there was money put in for Max Effort Muscle, like you had already known me to be a supplement guy. You were interested in the business. You've been around the business. You worked with the old business, but it's like the vetting process of, but can this motherfucker really sell supplements?
So I'll tell you exactly how.
I want you to run people through it.
I've never told you this.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never told you this. I'll tell you.
That's why I brought it up. I knew there's something.
Yeah. I'll tell you exactly how I sized up that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, being close to you in Muscle Farm, like we've talked about many times on this show, I felt like I had a good understanding of what Muscle Farm's dollars did in terms of exposure and in terms of workouts exposure. And I knew based on this is how my brain processed it.
Okay.
I said, if Muscle Farm could do 78 million in a year, which I think it did that one year, right?
Yep.
Okay. I said, if he could do from the jump before we implement business strategy, 1% of that, $780,000. Okay. Which it's almost eerie how close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said, I can buy X, whatever percent I have, X percent of that for X. Yep. That's exactly how I did the equation. And that's exactly why I was like, let's go.
And my equation was, if I can't, and we never even talked about this, do 1 to 3% of that, I fucking suck. I just remember because I remember when I understood just what the one program, and we might have talked about this or not talked about it, but at that time, the one program and Stack was doing from the workouts, I knew at least a piece of what was there. You know what I'm saying? Like there were some small things along the way where I was like, this is a direct reflection of my content and it's producing X. I see it on the fucking sheet. I started to understand where the loyalty and value I thought would be there for the next venture of supplementation. So with confidence, when I asked John for X amount of $100,000 plus, I knew I was confident I personally could at least in the beginning get that back to him plus some, I thought, without even understanding how good a business John really was, because we never worked together. I mean, I just didn't know. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I uncovered some of that during the process. And also I don't know if you understood how loyal some of the initial people were to me either. You know what I mean? You don't know until you say, okay, here's a pre-sale, and what we have, 800 sacks pre-sold or something like that, Johnny? Something crazy. 800 or 1,000.
I remember let's say the numbers from a pre-sale would reflect almost eerily to that 1%.
Yeah.
And that to me was like, okay, because from there, I'm a believer in, okay, that's a customer base that's there. Now, what can we do with that to multiply it, which we have.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks for leading through that process, Johnny.
Yeah.
That was cool to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, because like you said earlier, and I talked about this on a Daily Fire a couple days ago, there's performers or critics. That's really the category. Now, performer doesn't mean that you're on a stage or you're on social media, but there's either people that are complaining and not doing, or there's people that are doers and make it work. And we happen to be two people that have combined our skill sets to fucking be the performers and make it work in along the way. We're not sitting around fucking just worrying about what everyone else is doing. We're fucking making it happen. It's just it's good. All right. So next. I am MC Teague wants to know, do you believe in the law of attraction?
I believe in energy, and you can call that the law of attraction. I believe if you approach your days with a certain demeanor, thought process, and a commitment to certain things like being positive and helping people, and as everyone knows, being solution based, you're going to cross paths with so many other people in business. That's what you do. And the people who think like you, they can identify immediately, like, oh shit, I think like that. And then, yeah, the energy between you two is like, shit, let's talk some more, because I want to explore that. Cause I look, so yeah, yes, but to me, everything's energy. And when I'm impressed with someone, when I want to work with someone, when I want to find out more about someone, it's because of their energy combined with how they articulate things and explain things. It's like, okay, wow, okay, that person's on it, and this is why,
Yeah. I believe in something. I don't know if it's exact law of attraction, and attracting things to you or situations, but I definitely think that what you intentionally do with your mind, especially when you're fixated or slightly obsessed about certain things, for a period of time with action around them, I do believe that in forms they come to you. I think the thought process of like the law of attraction that had been put out, which was just think about money coming to your mailbox and it will show up one day. I don't know if I believe in that.
Fake news.
Yeah.
News.
From The Secret, the real popular book. I believe in that there is laws that the world operate by, and they could be
karma would be number one.
There is karma is one of them. And there's laws that are out here that are energy based, God based, however you articulate or into, but there is laws that run this world. And when you understand the rules that you're playing by, it makes things a little bit different. And I just don't think, and I've said this a bunch of times, and I uncovered this years ago, but I just don't think people either buy into it all the way, or they just haven't taken the time to be curious enough to understand them. There's plenty of material out there, whether it's biblical, whether it's books that Carnegie's based a lot in this kind of stuff, Napoleon Hill, there's Raymond Holloway. There's a bunch of stuff out there that depicts these type of things. And so when I've intentionally started to understand these and put things in action in place, I've been in multiple situations where I know that my actions and thought processes got me there. There's no question, because I would pick things and go, that's what I fucking want. That's what I'm going to put my intentions on. That's what I'm going to put my work on. That's where my thoughts are.
I mean,
that's what it is.
So you're exactly right. And it's funny. I'm sitting here right now. Ever since I was 7 years old, I was fascinated with where I am right now. And I always wanted to visit where I am right now.
Charleston?
Always.
Really?
This is my parents took me. I was just fascinated fascinated. And I'm here right now in our business. So that's what we're talking about. That's not a coincidence.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So anyone who, I think what you said is correct. A lot of people, they're not curious enough to dig. And that's why I beg people, and I think it's the most important word, like I've said many times, why. Ask as many smart people as you know the question why as many times as you can, because it gives you a great understanding of how shit works. And you have to dig. It's for yourself. It's for your own good. Listen, I was the worst in school. But once I understood that educating myself and things I was interested in could benefit me, bro, I would go and extract information from everybody. But it's not a bad thing, because people who have the information to give, they want to pass it on. They want to share it. So it's not a bad thing. So yeah, I
like when people ask thought-provoking real questions. I can tell they're like, when people come to me,
they want to use they want to hear what you say and then put it in action.
I love answering, and I'll take my time with people like that every day. It's the dumb fucking questions that I can't deal with.
Yo, how am I going to get 50 stacks, dog?
Yeah, or how do I do exactly what you do? Oh, let me just tell you that in 2 sentences. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, go fucking strum go fap in the corner.
But the intention of understanding the rules of this planet, as weird as that sounds, and then when you do them on purpose, the outcome, and see, I think a lot of people, the obsessive level or their entitlement time frame, I think it hurts a lot of people too, John. I think they might think, or they might be aware, but they don't apply it for long enough, or it's not in the right vein of time, or right vein because it's not for the right reasons, or the passion is not all the, you know what I'm saying? I think they just miss a few things, and then the outcome's never there. I think once you tap into why you're doing it, why you're obsessed about it, understanding the intent behind it, all these things start to open up. And it does sound like some magic fairy tale shit, but I've been sitting in situations and I'd be like, I know exactly why I'm here.
Isn't it amazing though? It's amazing to me how many people can hear the same shit from people that they may look up to, and they never examine themselves to find out if they're doing that. For example, I saw, one of the few people who I like hearing, David Goggins. He put up a video the other day, and he says what everybody who's done anything says: don't give a fuck about fuck everyone out. Like, he was running, he started laughing. He's like, I love when I get this motherfucking question. Oh, you want to know what other people think? Fuck all those motherfuckers. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. It doesn't matter. And if you're not thinking, do I truly live that way? And you're just watching David and you're saying, yeah, David's a badass, then you're a loser. You're a fucking beta loser. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you hear that, he's saying it so you can use it. And the way you use it is you stop and you say, do I put stock in what people say, or do I know myself enough to do what the fuck I want to do? I mean, it's so basic, and people can say it a million times, but people don't change.
It's hard to people have a hard time implementing it, John.
Well, that's why I want everyone to understand you are in your situation because of you.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
True that. I like those takes on that question, though. That was really good, Johnny.
Yeah.
All right. What do you do if your business partner isn't pulling their weight? From Chanel 9.
What do you think? I gotta do this every day with fucking Corey. Jesus fucking Christ.
Get a new fucking business partner.
Yeah. If your business partner isn't pulling their weight, guys, it's like any important relationship. You gotta fucking separate that person from everyone else. You have to have a conversation. It's got to be respectful, and you have to share your feelings. And you don't accuse, you don't yell, you don't scream. You have to say, listen, because when you have a business partner, that means they can affect, obviously, your livelihood. So it's a serious conversation. So it's like, listen, man, this isn't fucking cool, and this isn't straight, and I don't feel like you're doing this. Like, this has to change, because if it doesn't, there's repercussions, because I can't let my livelihood get fucked up because someone is, we're a team. We're a team, right? The offensive line's got to block for the quarterback so the quarterback can throw a touchdown, right? So like, you're blowing your fucking blocks, like you got to come to practice earlier. So you have to have a conversation, and don't do it in front of other people. Don't let other people hear, because people will put on their defense mode, and you just have to attempt to talk to them. Now, what to expect? Expect that they're going to get defensive. Should they? No. But humans get defensive when you try to, even subtly, because if you have a business, you probably have an ego, even subtly try to say, oh, you're not doing this right. So expect that, and don't get mad. Try to keep above them when they defend themselves. But man, you have to communicate. And then if they don't take it, then you should have things in place. And you shouldn't play games with them. You should let them know, like, hey man, like, if this keeps going like this, we're gonna have to enact some stuff legally, like, because, like, dude, come on, man, like, I'd rather work as a team. But if they completely shut you down, lawyers and legal agreements are how we solve these things, not fistfights.
Yeah, I think understanding like that communication point is key, because you can't assume that everyone feels the same way or even like is aware. Every time I've ever had conversations, either with sometimes people that were working in the organization or business partners, sometimes they were completely unaware and they're like, oh dude, my bad. Fuck yeah, of course I would do, like, so I think sometimes people think it's going to be maybe, and others could be like completely pissed off and be like, fuck you, I'm out. But most of the time your partner, if you've had a successful partnership, they're probably going to be like, dude, that's my fucking bad. I'm going to,
Right.
I'll do a better job at that. Or maybe I need help in that area. That's another thing that, people could come to people and say, like, I need help on that, man. Like, that, I think the communication is everything, because you might get another point of view where the other person doesn't perceive it to be that way, but you perceive it that way. And even if you got to meet in the middle somewhere to find a thing, then that's a better lifelong, of your relationship in your business. So I think communication is always the first thing, so that person's aware.
Leave anger out of it. Just try to talk straight.
How do you, Nathan Cleve 44, how do you split responsibilities between you guys and the businesses?
Skills. Skills. You have to have when you've had a partner for, a couple years or more, what their strengths are and what your strengths are. And then what you do is you split tasks based on those strengths. And then you have people below each one of us, or, partners that can support those strengths. So it's almost just, it's whatever, sports is easy analogy. You just, this guy's this position, this guy's this position. You got to back up here. You got to back up here. And you have to communicate, because ultimately, the whole team has to get the win. The running back can rush for fucking 200 yards, but if you're not playing defense, the team's not going to win. So you always have to understand what the full vision is. But then once you understand the full vision, it's like, all right, you got this, I got this. Are we on the same page? Do we need to touch up this? And then you go. But I think it's based on strengths and weaknesses, but more on strengths in terms of what you're doing.
Yeah, because if you can complement each other's, like, we can all do a little bit of everything, but there's certain things that I feel like I excel in. There's certain things that John absolutely excels in. And like, why would I want to do a certain task that John's doing when I know he's going to do it better than me, just because my ego's too big? Fuck no, I'd rather John do it and kill it for the team, or vice versa for me. Like, he would always say, like, gee, you need me to do some like online marketing stuff, I'll do it. I'll do anything I need for the business. He goes, but that's not natural for me. That's not what I look forward to doing. He's like, but if you want
more value doing other things.
Correct. And so that's the kind of thing, like, my value is not in keeping track of inventory or forecasting or working on percentages of things. Like, John is so much better at that. That's like probably one of the first things I even said to him was like, John, I'm just not good at any of this stuff. It's just not my personality. I don't operate that
and
way.
I love it. I love it.
Exactly. And you go like this, you're like, oh, dude, he's like, I look at the numbers and then we'll order 20% more of this. It just isn't natural at all. And it never has been. And it's not like that in my family. The numbers, that type of stuff. That's why I always just pretty much built businesses with like and not that he's not passionate, but I never really relied on analytics. I just relied on the passion, and things continued to grow, but I couldn't tell you exactly why.
Right.
I mean, that's just the truth.
Right.
But John then added that piece on top of being passionate and saying, here's why, dude, here's why. And this area we're more in, but we need to bring in this SKU and that analytic approach, not to mention all the marketing stuff that I didn't even know he was good at that he came in with. It was like, we were uncovering things like, John, when's the last time you answered your direct messages on Instagram? Not putting you on blast. That's just not natural for you, right? Like it's not because he doesn't want to talk to you guys. That's just not.
I believe my last Instagram post was a photo of me and I wrote, I went hiking.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that's on that right now.
So the point is that that's not John's spot. That's my spot, or the other team's spot that does the business Instagram, is to relay things to the customer, to make sure that they're, they have their stuff for their training and their supplement application. Like, there is things that each of us excel at. There's no reason we're going to come together on certain things that we both do well. But at the end of the day, there is lanes that are drastically different. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
So it was good. All right. Fully Fit Coach wants to know, what's the movement you're most excited about hitting when you get back to the gym?
Fuck.
I already know yours, dude.
Question, son.
The carries, boy, right, Johnny? Don't you miss them?
Oh yeah, I do miss those, but that's like because it's like almost conditioning.
Yeah, true.
I honestly, I for some reason, I let like just a fucking heavy, just a heavy row. Honestly, I just want to pull. I just want to pull some weight.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Mine's a pull also. Like, I have a deadlift bar at my house, but the environment. So there's something about coming off the weekend, Monday morning's the day we deadlift, and having 15 or 20 people competitively battle to see who can pull the most fucking iron off the ground. I can't emulate that. I just can't. Like, it's impossible to have a team, to have competition, to, literally want to beat motherfuckers, get beat, whatever, push yourself to maybe a new standard or a new pull or a new variation. Like, I cannot emulate that currently. And I miss that 1,000%. So I can't wait to deadlift amongst like a competitive atmosphere with fucking music so loud I can't hear myself think. I miss that bad. Yeah. Next question from Ryan Smith. What is the one thing you should always keep in mind to keep your business be unique or different?
I think the one, if that's your focus, unique and different, you have to say, is someone else doing it? And if the answer is yes, you shouldn't. So it's really simple, and it requires creativity, right? Because if someone else isn't doing it, there's no playbook to look at, tweak, and put your own spin on it. No, if someone else isn't doing it, you need to figure out like the look, the feel, the why, the who, how's this good? You have to be creative, but if you analyze that correctly and if you get it right, you are going to be special, because people then start copying off you. And when people start copying off you, people look at that as a bad thing. It's a great thing, because everyone knows who did it first. Everyone knows who did it first. So, yeah, you have to look, and if someone else is doing it, you have to say, how am I going to do it completely different? It's a challenge to yourself. It's gonna help you find out how creative you are. But yeah, none of the same old shit. None of that. We'll do that and change the fucking the fucking packaging, or we'll do this and we'll change the no. You have to completely immerse yourself in a new vision.
Yeah, I think trying to stay away from being a me too, which is what we used to talk about in supplements all the time. They would just basically straight rip off the formula, straight rip off the branding. There can be ideas, but I think this is like what John said. You got to run it through this kind of washing machine. It's like, all right, I got an idea. Let me scan the landscape to make sure it's not being done. Then from my unique creativity / your team's unique creativity. And I kind of look at max effort in this vein. Like we were like, all right, we want to do a throwback type of brand. Looked around, don't exist. We had some great ideas on doing the burlap. Boom. The creativity on the logo. Boom. Like the things that started to uncover when we know that area was open. And then we were like unapologetically just letting our true creative stuff all the way from the artists that John knew about to the packaging to the stack model to these things all started to flow because they could just be completely creative because we knew there was a space there that we could kind of mold this clay. Then what happens is, like you said, all the way from the funny videos to the stack model to the gear, people started just ripping it off all over the place.
Oh, everywhere.
All over the place, Johnny. Right?
Absolutely.
We saw it a bunch.
Absolutely.
And that is, and they still are, exactly. And that is one of the biggest, like, I guess, what things of, what's that word whenever somebody's trying to be like you? I forget what that is. It's a compliment, basically, indirectly, of your creativity.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty cool. All right. Next. All right, we got one left, Johnny.
Yep.
What is one thing? Oh no, that was the last one. Actually, sorry, I'm wrong. Hour and 20 minutes. That was the last one. I used the other one at the top. The will it be enough? Anything else you want to share before we wrap this thing up, John? That was a good Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just want to share that. I think we're in uncharted territory. I'm not going to lie. I'm optimistic about our president just saying, hey, you can go back according to your state's government and start doing this stuff. But I would just say, be aware of the fact that this, in my opinion, needs to be twofold. So if you're in a state where May 1st it gets turned back on, understand that your grandmother, your whoever, this is a different thing for them than it is for you if you're young. If data showed us anything, it's a different thing. So if you're out and about, be safe, but understand that you still need to, until there's something foolproof, you still need to really look out for people who are older, because this thing don't play with people who are older. So if younger, healthier people get out and start getting at it in the workforce, that's great. I think we're going to do it smart. Let's just not forget that all people are not the same. And older people, we have to take it upon ourselves to respect their space as potentially asymptomatic individuals.
And there's also no rhyme or reason to some of the younger people, Johnny, that just crushes it just gets them. So there's just a percentage of people that don't even look like they should be a problem, and they never come back out of the hospital. So I think just take it serious. Just take all the precautions serious. Be fucking smart. Just don't be, all bets are off, we're back. I just don't think any of us can operate that way.
It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So I think, listen, what's going to happen is going to happen. And again, I'm putting my faith in the people. I truly am. I've had enough of government. Putting my faith in the people. So just talking to the people that are listening, just take what you know and take the knowledge of precaution, distance, all this stuff has shown to work because we have curbed it.
Yep.
But it can come right back. So all I think about, bro, here's what I think about. Looking into a packed bar. Do you know how fucked up that would just that a shoulder to shoulder bar right now? That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't even imagine putting myself in that situation, Johnny, to be honest with you.
But there's going to be a lot of people who do, and then they're going to go have Sunday dinner with their grandparents. I just want people to just think a little bit more. You know,
Yeah.
that's all. Because, well, listen, everyone has the liberty to do whatever they want, and it is what it is. But man, we got to think a little bit more.
Yeah, well said. Johnny Fosco! Gee! Can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast can't be stopped.
We'll do intro. 3, 2, 1. On this episode, live Q&A, and I'm telling you right now, there's things you can put into your business and life that is going to help you from this episode. What do you think, John Fosco?
I think there was some broad questions that we did our best to answer, but there was a healthy number of good questions that related to actionable items, but there was also some humor. So
definitely,
you know, if you like hand jobs, this show's for you. So
let's go to the show.
Stop fapping, Corey. All right.
That's hilarious.